Hello, and welcome to this essay on Jupiter in Capricorn that I'll be presenting here. I am Poetic Heretic, and I'll be presenting this essay that describes what Jupiter in Capricorn will mean for all of us collectively, and also then individually in the second half. I will go over what it means for each sign of the zodiac specifically, and so you can look forward to that. Give me just one moment, please, while I deal with this wretched crap. Okay, test. Okay, test. All right. And so I will have the chat covered up while I am reading the essay, and then I'll answer any comments or questions that may or may not pop up after I am done. That is how we shall do that. So let's see here, live with an essay on the implications of Jupiter in Capricorn. I'm trying to do these preliminary things as quickly as possible because I'm sure you guys don't want to wait, and I don't want to wait either. So I'm just going to press tweet and assume that that posts just fine and just right. All right, so one moment, please. Get things positioned just right here. And let us begin. Jupiter in Capricorn. As many of you know, earlier this month on December 2nd, 2019, Jupiter made its annual change of signs, ingressing into Capricorn and exiting its home sign of Sagittarius. It shall remain in Capricorn until its transit there is complete on December 19th, 2020. There are a number of implications this shift in energy has for everyone, and I'm going to go over my interpretation of them here. Later, I will also give a summary of what this means for each sign of the zodiac in the coming year. Let's start with the basics. Jupiter is all about beliefs, knowledge, philosophy, positive thinking, optimism, expansion, abundance, and good luck. This is in contrast to its counterpart Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn. Jupiter is interested in beliefs, whereas Capricorn is interested in facts. Jupiter is interested in philosophy, whereas Capricorn is interested in actual reality. Jupiter is interested in positive thinking, whereas Capricorn is interested in realistic thinking. Jupiter is interested in optimism, whereas Capricorn is interested in realism or even pessimism. Jupiter is interested in expansion, whereas Capricorn is interested in contraction. Jupiter is interested in abundance, whereas Capricorn is interested in limiting or rationing what is. I give these contrasts between Jupiter and Capricorn to 1, sharpen the understanding of the archetype of Jupiter through comparison, and 2, because the energy of Capricorn and Saturn is what Jupiter now has to deal with as it transits Saturn-ruled Capricorn. In addition to this, we still have a few more months of Saturn itself transiting Capricorn until March 21st or 22nd, 2020, depending on one's time zone, and then also a return of it later in 2020 due to Saturn's retrograde, re-entering Capricorn July 1st, going direct September 28th, and then exiting Capricorn December 16th or 17th, 2020. This co-presence of Saturn in Capricorn with Jupiter will further influence how this energy manifests. We also have Pluto continuing its transit through Capricorn for years to come, and we will later look at how that affects the overall energetic mix as well. Jupiter does not like being in Capricorn. In astrology, Jupiter is said to have its fall in Capricorn. Jupiter wants to be positive and uplifting and idealistic, but the terrain of Capricorn is very austere, hard, industrious, even mechanical, cold, and reality oriented. This may outrage Jupiter on some level, but it nevertheless must continue to do its Jupiterian job, even while in the constrictive confines of Capricorn. This is a good point at which to make sure those watching and listening to this are aware of a very important fundamental reality. That is that, as I have stated before, the relationship of humans to planets and other astrological so-called quote-unquote influences is reflective in nature. The planets and stars are simply a reflection of what is going on within all of us individually and collectively at any given time. So the reason I talk about seeming abstractions like what it is like for Jupiter while transiting Capricorn is to give my viewers a much more accurate understanding of what energetic shifts are now occurring within each and every one of us. Of course, each individual will experience this and any transit in his or her own unique way. But there is also the aspect of a transit like Jupiter through Capricorn that we all will feel collectively. With that clarification out of the way, let us continue. When Jupiter was in its home sign of Sagittarius for the last almost 2 months of 2018 and almost all of 2019, it naturally gave that period of time some much needed optimism and is, I believe, a large part of the reason why 2019 was such a far-reaching, expansive year for so many people, myself included. Ironically, due to the current very specific planetary conditions, I would say that now with Jupiter and Capricorn, we are getting a similar kind of energy, but in a much different way. Here is why. Even though we had throughout so much of 2019 the intense optimism of Jupiter and Sagittarius, simultaneously we had the slowly building dread of the upcoming Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn. That conjunction finally perfects in January 2020, and its destructive yet purifying energy will be with us throughout the entire rest of the year, more or less. But now, along comes jovial Jupiter into the Capricorn mix, I would argue infusing the dark Saturn-Pluto conjunction itself with some much-needed optimism and positivity. Don't misunderstand. I am not in any way saying or implying that Jupiter will somehow, quote-unquote, save us from the myriad manifestations of the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. What I am saying is that where the optimism tended to be separate from the difficulties in much of 2019, the optimism and positivity will now likely be applied to the difficulties in 2020. Sagittarius is now getting to have some say about what is happening in the realm of Capricorn through its ruler representative Jupiter, which was definitely not the case throughout most of 2019. The idea is to take this energy and use it wisely. This does not mean that the intense challenges that we will face in 2020, and believe me, we will be facing intense challenges, will be any easier. It does mean, I believe, that we will have a greater resolve and wherewithal with which to deal with them. The attitude of Jupiter when facing such challenges is that great Jupiterian optimism of, we can do it, we can find a way, we can overcome this, we can figure it out. Every problem has a solution. If we believe in ourselves, we can overcome anything. It is about integrating the quote-unquote great darkness of the Saturn-Pluto conjunction into the positivity of Jupiter. It is about accepting challenges as a natural part of life as opposed to an interruption in life as we make our way through dealing with them in our day-to-day lives. Recognize that they are supposed to be there, and they are there to be overcome. That is the message of Jupiter when confronted with great obstacles. It will be interesting to see how this energy manifests in everyone's individual lives, since again, Jupiter wants to focus on the power of belief, but while in Capricorn, it is forced to deal in the realm of reality. I believe that for the duration of this transit, we will very often see a more practical Jupiter. We will find ourselves believing more in working through things methodically and practically, as opposed to just having faith or believing in ourselves or whatever. We will believe in our practicality. We will believe in the rightness of dealing with cold, hard reality. We will feel a sense of realistic optimism, as if understanding the reality of situations imparts an understanding that is in itself a reason to be optimistic. There may also be an increased desire to see the big picture when it comes to the various events in our lives and around the world. As Jupiter makes its way through Capricorn, it will form some important and powerful aspects. The first of these it has already made, and that is the Jupiter-Uranus trine. This is an aspect indicating breakthroughs in various areas of our lives, and we will continue to feel its effects for weeks to come. Since Uranus' relatively recent ingress into Taurus, first in 2018 and second earlier this year, we have already been in a cycle where many groundbreaking, earth-shattering events have been manifesting. Uranus is the planet of breakthroughs. It is the planet of reconciliation of the irreconcilable. It is in the sign of Taurus, which does not like change, meaning Uranus has to work that much harder in Taurus. But because of that, its results there are much more powerful. Jupiter's trine to Uranus amplifies and magnifies its power, delivering some much-needed fresh energy into some of the most fundamental areas of our lives. By late January 2020, this aspect will be pretty much complete, but you can bet that its effects will live on. Perfecting on February 20th, 2020, we have a supportive sextile formed from Jupiter at 17 degrees of Capricorn to Neptune at 17 degrees of Pisces. This aspect will recur due to Jupiter's retrograde motion on July 27th, 2020, and again on October 12th, 2020, around those same degrees. The effects of this will be felt for weeks prior to and after the first occurrence on February 20th. But due to the retrograde motion of both Jupiter and Neptune, the effects will be felt weeks prior to the second occurrence on July 27th, and then not really stop until weeks after the third occurrence on October 12th. It's going to be a dreamy year for Jupiter things. I say that because Neptune is the planet of dreams, and Jupiter forming a supportive sextile to it is just amplifying that dreamy energy. Neptune is also the planet of spirituality, illusions, creativity, poisons, drugs, alcohol, caffeine, hidden things, the mysterious, water, oceans, reflections, gases, mist, fog, dissolving things, deception, the supernatural, otherworldly occurrences, and many more of these nebulous types of things. Jupiter is amplifying potentially all of that for all of us. However, due to Neptune's highly reflective nature, as Jupiter amplifies Neptune, Neptune may begin to amplify Jupiter. This means our optimism, philosophical thinking, beliefs, and all other Jupiterian things mentioned earlier can be amplified as well. I would say the danger here with these highly spirituality and belief-oriented planets, even though they will be in sextile formation, which is usually a positive aspect, is the idea of delusions and or too much of a good thing. I've seen this happen before. There will be some powerful Jupiter and Neptune aspect, and people overestimate what is possible, incorrectly perceive reality, and end up getting themselves hurt and or into trouble as a result of it. Yes, it is true, since Jupiter is now in reality-oriented Capricorn, that effect may be lessened somewhat, but remember that Neptune is still right at home in dreamy Pisces, and when Neptune is in Pisces, Neptune is always looking for a delicious delusion to indulge itself in. With Jupiter, that indulgence becomes an overindulgence. In short, it is very important around the times described for these Jupiter-Neptune aspects to be careful not to let ourselves get carried away with delusional or magical thinking. We must stay firmly grounded in reality and instead use that imaginative energy in creatively practical ways, thus honoring both Jupiter in Capricorn and Neptune in Pisces. Jupiter rendezvous with deep, dark Pluto in Capricorn on April 4th, June 30th, and November 12th, 2020. The first two times are at 24 degrees of Capricorn. The third and final time is at 22 degrees of Capricorn. This dance between Jupiter and Pluto will take place for much of the year, though they will get about 4 to 5 degrees apart through August and September. So there may be a lessening of the intensity of this aspect around that time. I wouldn't exactly call Pluto Jupiter's favorite planet. Jupiter wants to bring optimism and positivity to things, while Pluto wants to drag you into the depths of hell and back. However, perhaps the two planets can find some common ground in that Pluto does what it does for an arguably and ultimately positive purpose. Pluto's job is to cleanse, to purify, to unearth, to heal on the deepest levels, to show us the heart of darkness so that we may transform it into the light of our awareness. When Jupiter operates with it, there is a strong tendency for those dark realities to really surface in a powerful and perhaps uncontrollable way. Again, Jupiter magnifies everything it touches. When it touches Pluto, all Pluto realities get bigger. The cleansing quickens, the purification accelerates, the healing is extreme. I should also point out that if any of you watching or listening to this have planets around 22 to 24 degrees of Capricorn, as I do, you can expect this transit to hit you especially hard. For example, I have my Mercury at 22 of Capricorn, only 2 degrees from the first two Jupiter-Pluto conjunctions, and the exact degree of the third. Mercury is the mind. Therefore, I expect my mind to undergo an intensely powerful cleansing and purification throughout 2020. If you have planets around 22 to 24 degrees of Aries, Cancer, or Libra, this transit will also very likely hit you especially hard, though its intense cleansing effects will be worth it in the end. If in this case your planet or planets in question are in Aries or Libra, the purification will likely take place through internal conflict. If your planet or planets are in Cancer, the purification will likely play out through one or more relationships. If you have planets around 22 to 24 degrees of Pisces, Taurus, Virgo, or Scorpio, this transit will very likely hit you hard, but probably be easier to deal with. The transformation, cleansing, and purification will be more smooth and hopefully less jarring. If you have planets around 22 to 24 degrees of Gemini or Leo, this transit may be transformative for you, but in a frustrating way. However, if by some chance you have planets around 22 to 24 degrees of both Gemini and Leo, the eventual effects could be quite powerful and life-changing indeed, in a way that you just wouldn't see if you had a planet or planets around those degrees of only one of those signs. We last had both Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn in 2008. So for the entire time that Jupiter transits Capricorn, and especially around the Jupiter-Pluto conjunctions, we may see a reactivation of Jupiter-Pluto issues from 2008, both individually and collectively. The ghosts from 2008 will haunt us again. With Jupiter magnifying whatever it touches and Pluto taking to great extremes whatever it touches, these fresh phantoms may become larger than life before we know it throughout this transit. Let us now talk about what Jupiter and Capricorn will mean for each sign of the zodiac by looking at what house it transits relative to each sign. If you don't already know your rising sign, I highly recommend you look up a rising sign calculator online and find out what it is, so that you may get an even more accurate forecast here. For Aries and Aries rising, Jupiter will be transiting your 10th house of career and public image. You can expect an intensification and magnification of all things relating to your career, as well as your main calling or focus in life. For you, Jupiter in Capricorn is putting an emphasis on your public, professional life, and it is very likely a time of great expansion and growth in these areas. Jupiter will bring generally good luck and good fortune to these areas, though you might have to go through some intense cleansing or purification due to its rendezvous with Pluto, as mentioned earlier, before you can get to the really good stuff. But trust me, it will be well worth it. For Taurus and Taurus rising, Jupiter will be transiting your 9th house of education, higher learning, belief systems, and foreign travel. This could easily be a time where you find yourself in school or considering going back to school. And if you are considering going back to school, I would say you should probably go for it, since Jupiter transiting your 9th house automatically makes this a great time for it. You may also find during this time that you explore your belief systems, ideals, and spiritual life much more. The 9th house traditionally is associated with quote-unquote God, but use whatever word or idea works for you, and that is where you can find great expansion and luck throughout this transit. Foreign people, places, and things are also emphasized now. Jupiter is right at home in the ninth house, and many of you will very likely be intensely craving an adventure to whatever distant horizon suits you, whether that be literally traveling to another country or exploring the quote unquote distant horizons of ideas, beliefs, and philosophies. For Gemini and Gemini rising, Jupiter will be transiting your eighth house of shared resources, other people's money, transformation, and secrets. This is a great time for business matters and for when you are likely to be much more business and money savvy. Transformation is a very nebulous word, I know. Here it largely refers to letting go of the old to make room for the new. However, for many of you, especially if you are partnered either romantically or in business, this house is referring to things happening not to you, but to that partner. Your partner is likely to have much greater luck and fortune with money during this transit, as well as with getting rid of the old and letting in the new. Jupiter transiting your eighth may also reveal secrets. With Pluto co-present, some of these may be very intense, deep, dark secrets. But again, Jupiter is adding its blessings and beneficence to such revelations. For Cancer and Cancer rising, Jupiter will be transiting your seventh house of relationships, partnerships, and open enemies. If you are already partnered with someone romantically or otherwise, this is a great time of blessings, expansion, and growth for that person, which should then affect you in a very positive way. The more entwined you are with this person, the greater the positive effect on them will also be on you. If you are not already partnered with someone, this may very well be the time that you meet someone that you begin a powerful partnership with. And since Jupiter will be in your seventh house when it happens, the entire lifespan of that partnership will be that much more one of good fortune. The only real potential downside to this transit is that if you have any rather potent and public enemies, this will likely be a time of good fortune for them, which may mean bad fortune for you. Other than that, it is a time of great blessings, growth, and expansion for both you and your partner. For Leo and Leo rising, Jupiter will be transiting your sixth house of health and illness, work, schedule, and day-to-day activities. The truth is, the sixth house does tend to be associated more with illness than it does with health. But the good news is that Jupiter tends to benefit whatever area it is in. So even if a potential health issue is brought to light during this time, and it very easily could be, especially with Pluto co-present, it should also be something that you are able to get treated and or recover from relatively easily, and in some way benefit from having done so. If you have already been ill, Jupiter moving into your sixth house indicates a time of improvement in your condition. Though again, with its rendezvous with Pluto, don't be surprised if things have to get worse before they can get better. Other than all of that, your day-to-day work life will likely be emphasized during this time, and it will be from that area of life that you experience much of your growth and expansion. There will be good luck in this area. Your schedule will also be brought into focus, and you can expect further improvement in it in whatever way is currently most applicable to you and your day-to-day life. This is a time to enjoy more blessings and abundance in your daily activities. For Virgo and Virgo rising, Jupiter will be transiting your fifth house of love, fun, romance, sex, risk-taking, and children. This is a highly fortunate transit. You can expect much more fun in your life in a myriad of ways. You may find love and romance during this time, and excitement will fill the air. The only potential concern here is the idea of taking things too far, such as drinking too much or gambling until you lose all your money. So do exercise caution when it comes to any risk-taking. Other than that, this is a time of great fun for you, so enjoy it. Creativity will be heightened. If you have children, this will be a fortunate transit for them, and you will experience far more growth, expansion, and fun through and with your children than usual. With Jupiter's rendezvous with Pluto, you may be tempted to take any one of these areas to extremes, but overall it is now your time to party and revel. For Libra and Libra rising, Jupiter will be transiting your fourth house of home and family. This is a time for expansion and growth around your home, especially with Pluto's transformative nature and it being co-present with Jupiter. You may be having home renovations or other kinds of work done around your house. You may even relocate into a larger house vis-a-vis Jupiter's expansion. And you may get more in touch with your family, including matters relating to your ancestors and where you come from. This is a time where you can expect many improvements around your home. Areas that were once stagnant are likely to finally undergo the changes that you desire. You may have already seen some of this by now as a result of Jupiter's trine to Uranus. Jupiter is also putting the spotlight of expansion on your private and personal life right now. Matters of a more emotional and personal nature are receiving the blessings of Jupiter, even as Pluto continues to reflect the necessary cleansing upheaval of such things simultaneously. Your growth in this area is being massively accelerated. For Scorpio and Scorpio rising, Jupiter will be transiting your third house of communication, mental activity, and short distance travel. This is a time where communication of all kinds will be emphasized and magnified. Your words will be heard more than ever. You will also experience much expansion and growth through the exchange of information. Your mind will likely be much more active, alert, and focused during this time. All kinds of short distance trips will either become more frequent and or be much more fortunate. In other words, Jupiter is bringing good luck to those quick trips to the store, the gas station, the post office, school, work, and any other such trips. So even if you are having to make more of them, they will at least be quite beneficial in ways you do not now suspect. Siblings are also emphasized during this time. So if you have any brothers or sisters, expect to see them more often, and they may also receive a level of blessings and or abundance during this Jupiter cycle. For Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising, Jupiter will be transiting your second house of money, values, and possessions. This is an excellent time for all matters relating to money. Jupiter brings abundance of all kinds. So when it is making its way through your money house, you can expect more money to find its way to you in some way, shape, or form. You may come up with newer and better ways of making money during this time. You will experience expansion and growth through these processes. However, not just money, but all things that you value are being expanded and emphasized by Jupiter now. The sphere of what you own is being expanded, and material possessions of varying kinds now more easily make their way to you. For Capricorn and Capricorn rising, Jupiter will be transiting your first house of self. The focus is now all on you, your identity, your life, your body, everything that is you personally. Jupiter may be awakening you to an expanded sense of self, and or you may even end up redefining who you are during this transit. The blessings and good fortune of Jupiter now rain down upon you, and you will tend to embody more of the Jupiterian energy of optimism and idealism. Your hunger for knowledge will likely increase, as will your desire to explore your personal beliefs and philosophies. With Pluto co-present, you may find some dark secrets that were previously buried deep within you, whose discovery then becomes life-transforming and highly cathartic. Things will tend to go your way during this time. Opportunities will open up, and your overall mood will lift. A whole new 12-year Jupiter cycle for you now begins. For Aquarius and Aquarius rising, Jupiter will be transiting your 12th house of isolation, hidden things, and hidden enemies. This makes for an interesting situation. While Pluto has already been digging up hidden things in your 12th house for many years, Jupiter now enters the picture and magnifies that tendency even more. You may see something of a culmination throughout Jupiter's time in your 12th house of what still remains hidden, finally being brought to light. You may find expansion and growth through spending more time alone, or through dealings with your enemies. I'm not going to lie to you. The 12th house is considered by many astrologers to be the most difficult house of all. but experiences in it are a necessary and integral part of any personality's ongoing growth and development. Fortunately, since this is Jupiter now transiting your 12th house, you will at least have a strong tendency to receive some form of blessings and or abundance through your encounter with darkness. Spending more time away from other people proves beneficial now. For Pisces and Pisces rising, Jupiter will be transiting your 11th house of friends, community, and social networking. Jupiter is bringing great fortune to you in relation to any social group to which you now belong. Your group of friends and acquaintances may expand, and you will undergo much growth and expansion through your experiences with them. Community-related things may appeal more to you now. This is a time where you will feel much more supported and blessed by your social network, and it is a great time to socialize and make more friends and contacts, who will then be of great benefit to you. So while Pluto has been shaking things up in this area of your life for many years, Jupiter now arrives to expand that process, but also bring blessings and good fortune with it. That concludes my essay on Jupiter in Capricorn and what it means for all of us. Remember, Jupiter is definitely not at home in Capricorn. Jupiter does not like being in Capricorn. But while it is there, it still must do Jupiter things. It just has to do them in a Capricorn type of way. It is an odd mix of optimism in the realm of pessimism. Jupiter continues to strive for its optimistic and idealistic outlook, even as it wanders through the bleak, forlorn landscapes of Capricorn. I believe the message of this energetic mix to us is that there is much to be gained from facing reality, that challenges can be overcome as long as we're realistic in our approach to them, and that we will get only the blessings we deserve. But blessings, though hard earned, we will indeed get. All right, so that is it. That is indeed my essay on Jupiter and Capricorn. I hope you enjoyed. And so I will be heading out now. I want to wish everyone Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate, or if you don't celebrate anything, then just have a happy time. I'll most likely be back within the next week or a little more, I do think. Obviously, I won't be streaming on Christmas unless I ended up really wanting to for some reason, but I don't think that'll happen. But perhaps a week from today, I don't know. I have to see how some things go, but we'll see. But rest assured, I'll be back soon enough. So again, thanks for watching, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, all that great stuff. All right, bye for now.